Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shiur.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Shabbos of Kuf Chav Tes. We are on Daf Kuf Chav Ches on the base, 3 lines from the bottom. The Mishnah taught us that a Isha who gave birth, so a woman after childbirth is in a precarious state, her situation requires Chilul Shabbos to tend to her needs because her life's in danger. She's considered to be a choyle sheyesh bo sakana, sick person whose life is in perils and danger, needs to be tended to, even at the expense of Chilul Shabbos. So Gemara will tell us, will lineate for us different stages of recovery for the Isha who gave birth, for this chaya, and the various halachos pertaining to those stages of recovery. Says the Gemara 3 lines from the bottom, Amar Bid Amar Shmuel, chaya. So an Isha, a woman who gave birth, calls man she'akever pasuach, as long as her womb is still considered to be open. The Gemara soon will tell us that's up until 3 days after childbirth. So at that point she's considered to be yesh basakana. Her life is considered to be in danger, and therefore bein amra tzrichani, whether she herself says, I need this care, I need this thing to be done for me, bein loy amra tzrichani, whether she does not say I need this, but we know this is something which she needs. Mechalilin aleh as Shabbos, we have Mechal Shabbos on her behalf to tend to her needs. Now, it would seem from here that it's a presumption. As long as the kever is pesuach, she's considered to be yesh basakana, and we do anything she needs to preserve her life, even at the expense of Chilul Shabbos. Now, what if she herself expresses her own opinion in terms of not needing? I don't need. She expresses an opinion to the contrary. She says, I don't need any tzricha. It would seem from here that we do follow that opinion, because the Gemara is telling us whether she says I need or whether she does not say I need, we presume that her life's in danger and she needs this care to be done for her. But what if she specifically states her opinion to the contrary? She says, I don't need this to be done for me. It would seem that we follow that expression, that personal opinion. So that personal factor is reckoned here, and we follow that l'chumra. Continues the Gemara, so that's up until kever pasuach. As long as the womb is still open, she's still considered to be yesh basakana. What about nistam kever? Once the kever closed up, and the Gemara will tell us this is up until 7 days, meaning from past 3 days, it's considered to be nistam kever. At this point, she's presumed to be out of danger. Bein amra tzrichani, whether she says I need this to be done for me. Bein lo amra tzrichani, whether she does not say I need this. Ein machal es Shabbos, we do not do this malacha for her behalf, because she's presumed to be out of danger. Now, it seems from here that even if she insists that I need this, she says, Bein Amr Tzrichani, she needs it. So she expresses her own opinion that she needs this. We ignore that personal factor. We just assume that at this point, at this stage, she's considered to be out of danger despite her expressions to the contrary. So it's pretty clear that according to this version of the Gemara, we go l'chumra. There are 2 factors here. There is the time factor, up until 3 days, then past 3 days, where it's considered to be kever sasam. So there's the time factor, and then there's the personal factor, her own personal opinion, an expression of her needs. We follow both of them stringently, because up until kever pasuach, which means up until 3 days, the assumption is she needs this to be done for her. She needs this tzarech, this need. But if she herself expresses her opinion otherwise, we follow that. So we follow that personal factor, l'chumra. In contrast to the point of nistam kever, which is after the 3 days have already passed, the time factor there overrides everything. Because even if she says, I need, we ignore that. So at that point, the time factor, it overrides. So we follow both factors, l'chumra. At one point we follow the personal factor, and if she says I don't need, that overrides. Whereas once it gets to the point of kever sasam, we follow the time factor there, despite her personal expressions to the contrary. So we follow both factors l'chumra. Rav Ashi masni hachi. Rav Ashi learned this version of Rav Yudam Shmuel, that we follow both factors l'chumra stringently. Mazutra, on the other hand, masni hachi. He had a different version of Rav Yudam Shmuel, and he followed both factors leniently l'kula. Mazutra masni hachi. Amar Rav Yudam Shmuel chaya calls man shakever pasuach, as long as the womb is still open, meaning up until 3 days. At that point, we follow the time factor. That overrides everything. Bein amra tzrichani, bein amra ein tzrichani. Whether she says, I need this Chilul Shabbos to be done on my behalf, or whether she says, I don't need this. So she specifically expresses her opinion to the contrary. Mechalin ales HaShabbos, we have Mechal Shabbos on her behalf. When it's talking about something that we know that she needs to have done for her. So according to this approach, we ignore the personal expression, we follow the time factor, and we do the malacha. So he's following the time factor lekula. Nistam kever. Likewise, when the kever closed off already, it's after 3 days. So the presumption there is that she's out of danger. But nevertheless, amra tzrichani, if she specifically expresses her need for this malacha to be done on her behalf, mechalin ales HaShabbos, we have Mechal Shabbos on our behalf, because although the presumption here is that she doesn't need the Chilul Shabbos, but if she herself expresses that need, then we have Mechal Shabbos. So it's very clear that according to this version of the Gemara, which is Mazutra, we follow the factors of time and personal expression, lekula. Loy Amar Tzrichani, but if she does not say that she needs this to be done for her, Ein Mechal Shabbos, we are not Mechal Shabbos on our behalf, because the presumption is that she's out of danger, and therefore we are not Mechal Shabbos for her sake. So let's just quickly summarize here. We have two factors. We have the stage, we have the time factor, as long as the kever is pesuach. Once the kever is already nistam, those are two stages. There's a time factor. Then there's the personal factor, the personal expression of her needs. She says, I don't need, or she says, I do need. So these two factors play a role here. According to Rav Ashi, we follow both of them l'chumra. According to Mazutra, we follow either of them l'kula. Continues the Gemara. Amalei Ravina l'Marima. Mazutra masni hachi, masni l'kula. Mazutra taught the halacha leniently. We follow those factors l'kula. Rav Ashi masni l'chumra. According to Rav Ashi, the halacha was said l'chumra. Hilchasa kaman. Who do we follow? Who does the halacha conclude like? Amalei halacha k'Mazutra. The halacha paskins like Mazutra. Why suffik nefashas l'haka? Whenever we have an uncertainty with regard to tending to a person's life, saving a person's life, we must go l'kula. Follow the lenient view. The Gemara learns this from V'yitzilu Eda, that the Bezdin is meant to try to do their utmost to save a person from dying. So we are meant to follow the lenient approach here as well. And therefore, once again, if it is within the first 3 days, we just follow that factor. The time factor overrides. And even if she says, I don't need this to be done for me, we ignore her expression and we do the Chilul Shabbos. Likewise, after 3 days, when the kever is considered to be sasam and she's out of danger, nevertheless, if she herself explicitly states her opinion that she needs this, we will follow that personal expression, l'kula. Says the Gemara, from what point do we consider the womb to be open? From the point in time that she sits down on the birthing stool. Rav Huna ber Davishu Amar Mishosh Adam Sheisis V'Yored, from the point where the dam, the blood, trickles down. Amrila, some say Mishosh Chavriseh Noisis Oisa Be'agafeh, at the point in time where she has difficulty walking on her own, and her friends need to support her arms to allow her to walk. So that's the point of Psichas HaKever. Ad Masai Psichas HaKever. Until what point is she in a state of Psichas HaKever? Amar Abaye Shloisha Yamim, up until 3 days after childbirth. Rava Amar Mishmeid Rav Yehuda, Shiva, up until 7 days. Amrila, some a different version, Shloishan 30. And as Tosfos points out, there's no dispute here. They're actually reflecting 3 different stages of the Isha's recovery, and each one will have different guidelines, as we will see soon in the Gemara. Amri Nardai Chaya. So this woman who gave birth, there are 3 stages of recovery: Gimel, Zayin, V'Lamed. Up until 3 days, up until 7 days, up until 30 days, as he will explain. Gimel, up until 3 days, Bein Amra Tzrichani, whether she says, I need this Chilul Shabbos to be performed on my behalf, Ubein Amra Tzrichani, whether she explicitly says, I don't need this. Mechalin ales HaShabbos, we have Mechal Shabbos, because the presumption is that she's in danger, and if it's something that we know that she generally needs, we do it for her even at the expense of Chilul Shabbos. She's a Chola Sheyesh Basakana. Zayin, which is the next stage, from 3 to 7 days. Amra Tzrichani, so it depends. If she says, I specifically need this, Mechalin ales HaShabbos, they will Mechal Shabbos on our behalf. So although the presumption is that she's out of danger, but if she specifically expresses her need for this thing to be done, we follow that expression. We follow the personal factor, l'kula. So this seems to be in accordance with the Shita of Mazutra, that we follow the factors, l'kula. So again, it's Amr Tzrichani, if she says, I need this, Mechalina es HaShabbos. Amr Lo Tzrichani, but she says, I don't need this, Ein Mechalina es HaShabbos. Lamed, up until 30 days, meaning from 7 to 30, at that point, she's absolutely considered to be out of danger, although she's a chayla, she's sick, but it doesn't justify Chilul Shabbos. I feel Amr Tzricha Ani, even if she would say, I need this Chilul Shabbos to be done on my behalf, Ein Mechalin Es HaShabbos, we did not do it. Aval, Oisin Al Yidei Armai, but we do the malacha through a non-Jew. Rav Ula, Perei Rav Eloi, just as he taught us, the Amar, he said, Kol Tzorchei Choyle, all the needs of a sick man, an ill person who is a choyle she'ein bo sakana, whose life is not in peril, is not considered to be in such a precarious state of health, which is considered to be eish bo sakana. So we do his needs, but we perform it through a non-Jew. Kol tzarech choyle nasna de armoi be'Shabbos. Uked Rav Hamnuna, the Amar Rav Hamnuna, dover she'ein bo sakana, something which does not involve a sakana, meaning a choyle who is ill, but he is not in a stage of sakana, so they instruct the guy to do it, and we achieve it through the non-Jew. Let's take a look at Rashi inside here, starting from the top of the Amud. Rashi begins with the word tzricha ani. She says, I need it, l'chilul. Bein Amra ein tzricha ani. Whether she says, I specifically don't need, but her friends say yes. She tzricha, that she needs it, so they're experts and they know that this is something which an Isha needs. Mechalilin, we have Mechal Shabbos, despite her expressions to the contrary. Ba'agafeh, this is the stage of Psichas HaKever, so they support her. Bizro Yoseh, with her arms, she cannot walk on her own. Chaya, Gimel Yomim, V'zayin Yomim, V'lamed Yomim. There are 3 stages. Up until 3 days, up until 7 days, up until 30 days. Says Rashi, who's Kuruba? There were these 3 stages which were mentioned with regard to a woman who gave birth, L'chiluk halachis Chilul Shabbos, which pertain to various categories of Chilul Shabbos, different guidelines. Lamed Mizayin. Lamed means Mizayin ad Hashlamas Lamed, from 7 until 30. And when it says 7, it means V'chein Zayin, it means Migimel ad Hashlamas Zayin. So 3 means up until 3, Zayin means up until 7, from 3 to 7, and Lamed means from 7 to 30. So from 7 to 30, it's considered to be certainly an Ein Bo Sakana, and it's called Tzorchei Choyle, all needs of a sick person. This Chaya ad Lamed Yom Stamach Choyle. This woman, up until 30, she's presumed to be an ill person in a weakened state of health, and therefore we do it through a non-Jew. If they withhold this refuah from him, he is not in danger of dying. He needs it to be done. So what do? They instruct a non-Jew to do it. But in a situation which involves sakana, certainly Yisrael himself performs it from him. So in summary, we learned about a chaya, an Isha who gave birth. There are 3 stages. Up until 3 days after childbirth is considered to be kever pasuach, her womb is open, and she's certainly considered to be a yesh b'sakana. We have the stage from 3 to 7 days. We have from 7 to 30. So up until 3 days, we have Mechal Shabbos on her behalf. From 3 to 7, we are not Mechal Shabbos generally, and certainly up until 30, we're not Mechal. But as the Gemara tells us, she's considered to be Ein Basakana, and we do the Malacha through a goy. Now, we have a machlekes between Rav Ashi and Mazutra. According to Rav Ashi, we follow the time factor as well as the personal factor, l'chumra. Whereas according to Mazutra, we follow both of them leniently. What does this mean? Up until 3 days, generally we consider to be in a state of danger, and we have Mechal Shabbos for her needs. Now, what if she specifically says, I don't need this to be done for me? According to Rav Ashi, we follow that, and we are not Mechal Shabbos. According to Mazutra, we follow the time factor. That takes precedence. That overrides her personal expression. From 3 to 7, we are generally not Mechal Shabbos. What if she specifically says, I need this to be done on my behalf? According to Rav Ashi, we ignore that, because we follow the time factor, which gives us that presumption that she doesn't need this Chilul Shabbos. According to Mazutra, in this case, we follow the personal factor, her personal expression, where she's expressing her need for this to be done, and we Mechal Shabbos on her behalf. And the Gemara concluded, we follow Marzutra because we apply the rule of Safek Nefashis Lahakal. Continues the Gemara, Amar Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Lechaya, pertaining to a woman who gave birth, Lamed Yoim, there is a time limit, a time frame of 30 days. Says the Gemara, Lamai Hilchasa, to what halacha does this pertain? Amri Nardoi. So they explained Litvila. He's coming to teach us that an Isha who gave birth should not be toil, should not immerse until she waits 30 days. Rashi says, this will cause her body to get chilled, so she's meant to wait 30 days before she's toivel. Amar Rava, Lo Yamaran, this is only said to She'im Bala Ba'ir, She'im Bala Ima, when her husband is not with her. Aval Bala Ima. But in the case where her husband is present, Bala Machamam, her husband's body will warm her up, and the tashmish will warm them up, and she will not get this chill, and will not harm her health. So it's only when she's being toivel without her husband present. For instance, she wants to be engaged in touching things of tahara. So that's the purpose. So in that case, we're concerned about her getting chilled. We need to wait until 30 days. But if her husband is around, that factor is non-existent. Kiha, as in the following story, the Bartu of Chizda, the daughter of Rav Chizda, was actually the wife of Rava. Tavla b'gloi tlasen yomen. She was toivel within 30 days of childbirth. Shloi b'fnei bala, and her husband was not present. V'tztanias, and it resulted in her getting chilled, and she was in danger of am toila arsa. So they brought her bed with her basre de Rava in pursuit of Rava, her husband, lepumbadisa. So they brought all the way to Pumbadisa so she could be with her husband, who will warm her up. One can fashion this large fire l'chaya for the sake of a woman who gave birth, even b'Shabbos, to warm her up. Savar mina, the Gemara figured, l'chaya in, this is only allowed for a chaya, but for an ordinary chayla l'chayla loy. Likewise, the presumption was, in, this can be done in the wintertime when it's cold, and there's a real need for this medura to be done, lit on Shabbos. But during the summer, there's no need, and the Gemara concludes, in the parentheses, v'loihi, this is not so. Loishna chayav, loishna chayla, doesn't make a difference if it's a chay or a sick person. Loishna b'maisak shamim, v'loishna b'maisak chama, whether in the summer or the winter, if the chaya needs it, or if this chayla, whose life is in danger, on account of him getting chilled, we must go ahead and make this medura to preserve his life. Continues the Gemara, Amar Rav Chia bar Abba Amar Shmuel, Hikis dam. So the Gemara will proceed with the concept of hakazas adam, which is bloodletting, which seems to be a very common practice during which was performed during the olden days. The Gemara says one's meant to do it once in 30 days. It seems like it was something done for on a regular basis for a refuah, which had a remedial effect, and the Gemara also says it had a lightening effect. It lightened the overabundance, the weight of a person's. Person had extra dam, extra blood. So they used to do this hakazas adam, which is not really so common and prevalent today. The closest we come to this is blood work, a blood test that we take sometimes. So the hakazas adam here is described in great detail, many instructions and details pertaining to the practice of hakazas adam. Now there are some principles which certainly can be easily applied today. The concept of being disciplined and taking care to safeguard one's health properly, as we'll see in the Gemara. Omar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Omar Rav Chia bar Abba Amar Shmuel, Hikis dam v'nitztanen. So a person had hakazas adam, meaning that he had his blood let, v'nitztanen, and as a result his body got chilled. Oisim le medura, they make for him a medura, a fire, afilu b'tkufas tamaz, even during the tkufas tamaz, which is the summertime, because you need to warm him up. Shmuel, so Shmuel had the hakazas adam done to him, and he didn't have any, Rashi says they couldn't find any firewood, so out of necessity, so he instructed, and they chopped up for him tachtika de shaga. They cut up a chair, an expensive piece of furniture, a chair made of this shaga, this expensive wood, to create this fire to warm him up. Rav Yehuda, Tzochale, they cut up for him P'tsoira de Yoino, the Yavna, a table made from some sort of cedar wood. L'Rabba, on behalf of Rabba, Tzochale, they cut up Sharshifa, this bench. V'amalei Abaye l'Rabba. So Abaye turned to Rabba, how could you allow How can you instruct him to go ahead and chop up this piece of furniture? You're transgressing the Isser Bal Tashchis. What is meant to destroy property? The destruction of my guf is superior, takes precedence. Meaning, go ahead and break the furniture for the sake of preserving my health. Bal Tashchis the Gufay Adif Li. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav. Lo'olam Yimkar Adam. A person should be willing to sell the beams of his home, his roof, in order to purchase, with the money to purchase shoes for his feet. Rashi brings down that the person who goes barefoot without shoes out in the street, there's no greater bizayin for such a person. Therefore, a person should be willing to sell even the roof over his head and buy shoes. Continues the Gemara, now if a person had the bloodlet and he has nothing to eat to make a suda after the bloodletting, the Gemara soon will tell us how important it is to have the suda, and he does not have funds available, so he should be willing even to sell his shoes, even despite the fact that his shoes are so important, and he's willing to sell his roof over his head to buy those shoes to avoid the denigration, to avoid the bizayin. Nevertheless, he's meant to go ahead and sell those shoes. Yimkar men olam shebaraglov v'yasvik mehen, and supply with the money tzarech suda, the provisions for a suda. My tzarech suda, what type of a suda is one meant to engage in after the bloodletting procedure? Ravam a basar is meant to have basar, shmolam a yayin, wine. Ravam a basar, why? What's so important about meat? Nafsha chalaf nafsha, a nefesh, a soul, a spirit, to replace his missing nefesh. When they let the blood out, the nefesh of a person is embedded in his dam, so he's missing that dam, so he's in a state of weakness, and went to strengthen himself by replacing that with basar of the animal which has the nefesh embedded in it. Ushmol amar yayin, one is meant to drink wine. Why? Sumka chalaf sumka. Wine is red, so the redness of the wine is chalaf, to substitute the redness, meaning the blood that he is lacking, that he's missing. Shmuel, says the Gemara, a story b'yoyim David Milsa, a day that he did the hakazas hadam avdi le tafshila the tachli, they would prepare for him a dish of spleens. Rashi says that the spleen is red, so in accordance with his opinion, that red replaces red. Rabbi Yochanan Shasi, he would drink so much wine adanafak tia mi'une, until the scent, the reach of the wine would actually emerge from his ears. Rav Nachman Shasi would drink so much wine after the bloodletting adakafi tachli, until his spleen would float in his wine. Rav Yosef Shasi would drink adanafik mirivda de kasilta, until there was so much wine that it oozed out from the punctures of the bloodletting. Rava would seek to find unique wine. Achamra, he would look for wine bartlosa tarfi, which has 3 leaves, meaning it comes from a vine which grew 3 sets of leaves, basically means 3 years old. And that's the type of wine he would use after hakazas hadam, after bloodletting. Amalu Rav Nachman by Yitzchak l'Rabbanan. So Rav Nachman Yitzchak advised the Rabban, he said as follows: Matus menaycha, please, b'yoyim hakaza, in a day of hakaza, imru leveisaychu, tell your family, tell your wife, Nachman ikla legaban, meaning tell them that you meant to prepare a significant meal, as though Nachman is coming to visit, meaning prepare a substantial meal for the suda that is required after the bloodletting. Continues the Gemara, V'kulu arumi asiri, one may not mislead and pretend. All these things are asr, bar, except for one type of pretense. Bar mahai arma deshara, except for the following pretense, which is allowed. Man David Milsa, one who did Milsa, this is referring to the Akazas Hadam, and he has no wine to drink. And he has no funds available to buy wine, which is a necessity. Lishkol zuzah maka, she should take this zuzah, this coin, which is rubbed out. It's not your perfect coin, which the merchants hesitate to accept, although legally it's still regarded as a proper coin. So he takes this zuzah maka, v'leizel, and he should go l'shev chanusa. He should go to 7 stores who sell wine. And Rashi explains that the practice was you go into the store and have a little taste and then buy the wine. So he goes from one store to the next, and he tastes a little bit in each store at the time Shiur V'yasa, until he accumulates enough. He totals between all his tastings a Shiur of a Revius, which will supply his need for drinking wine after his bloodletting. And the point here is, Rashi explains that he tastes a little bit wine, and then he says, okay, let me buy some wine, and he offers this rubbed out coin, which the owner refuses to take. So then he picks himself up and goes to the next store and follows the same method. So the Farshim say that he's not actually stealing or doing Genevas Das, because officially this coin has value. It's the owner's prerogative to refuse it. So technically speaking, he didn't do anything wrong. Rather, it was the owner's decision not to accept it. This allows him to go and proceed and repeat the same process elsewhere. Continues the Gemara, V'iloi, but if not, meaning he doesn't even have this bad coin to use, what should he do? After his akazas adam lechol sheb tamri uchmasai should eat 7 black dates. V'lishav mishcha b'tzidei. So he's meant to warm himself up, and aside from eating these dates, v'lishav mishcha, he should go anoint, rub, apply mishcha oil b'tzidei on his temples. V'nigni b'shimsha, and he should go out and lie in the sun, and this will warm him up and have a therapeutic effect for the post bloodletting situation. Continues the Gemara, Avlat, who was a Gentile, a wise Gentile, Ashkel Shmuel, he encountered Shmuel the Gani B'Shimsha, who was lying in the sun, Amalei. So he was surprised. He said, Chakimu Diyudoi, the wise man of the Jews, Bisha, something bad, the sun rays, which is something negative, Miyavatava has turned into something good. Why are you lying in the sun? Amalei, so he told him, Yoimada Kazahu, it's a day of bloodletting, therefore I need the sun to warm me up. V'loyi, actually, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the story. Ella, rather, the real truth is, Ika Yoima, there's actually one day, Demali Bashimsha, Bikuli Shata, that there's one day a year where the sun is actually beneficial, which is the Yoima de Naflabe, the day that begins Tkufas Tammuz. So the year, the solar year is split into 4 sections. So the last section, the last quarter is called Tkufas Tammuz. So that day that the Tkufas Tammuz begins on, that day the sun is actually beneficial. And that's why he was lying out in the sun. Now the reason why Shmuel didn't tell him this, V'savar, Shmuel figured, Lo Yigali, I don't want to reveal this secret to him, therefore he pretended that it was related to the bloodletting. Continues the Gemara, Rav Shmuel Damar Tavai, they both said, Kol HaMekel B'sudas HaKaza, one who is light, meaning he takes it lightly, he disregards the importance of a Sudas HaKaza Sadam, Ma'akil Noi B'neisav N'Hashamayim. In response, they in Shamayim, from Shamayim, they disregard his mezainis, his sustenance, and they say, "V'ayimrim, hu al chayav loichas." He didn't take care of his life. He doesn't take care to safeguard his health. Ani achas olav, I will have concern for him, and therefore they don't provide his necessities properly. Rav Shmuel Damar Tavai, they both said, "Hayman da Ovid Milsa." A fellow who had the milsa done to him, this hakaza, the bloodletting, he should take care not to sit in a place where it's drafty, where the wind rolls around, it's drafty. Why? Dilma shafile umna. Perhaps the uman, who's the fellow who does the bloodletting, will almost completely, totally empty him out of his dam, of his blood, mukim la arviasa, and will set him on a revis, meaning he will allow him to have you leave within his body only a revius of dam, which is the minimum necessary for a person to survive. So he's going to completely empty him out of his dam. All he has is the minimum of revius, which is the vital amount. V'asi zika, and then a wind will come, because he's sitting in a drafty area, the wind will come, and will go ahead and draw it out of him, meaning the wind will dry up the remaining dam that he has with him, and therefore he will be in danger. V'asi sakana, he will come to danger. So don't sit in a drafty area. Continues the Gemara, Shmuel have a ruggle. So he had to practice that. V'avad milsa, that he did the hakazas adam bebeisa, in a place, in a room, which was very well protected and insulated from draft and from wind, and very thick walls. Bebeisa, in a room, the shev livnaya v'aricha, which was surrounded with thick walls, which were comprised of 7 levanim, 7 bricks. Rashi explains a brick is 3 tfachim. V'aricha means a half a brick. So if we calculate the 7 full bricks, 7 times 3, plus the 1/2 brick, which is 1.5 tfachim, So we arrive at 22 and a half tfachim. This wall was thick to protect him from any incoming draft or wind. Yom echad, there was one day, avad, so he did the hakazas hadam, v'argish b'nafshi, now he felt something unusual, some unusual weakness within himself. Badak, so he went ahead and inspected the wall. V'chasar chadaricha, it turns out there was missing one of the ariach, maybe it means that half one or one of the bricks. So in any case, it was missing from its original thickness, and that's why it didn't perform properly, and it wasn't as effective as it usually was to prevent the wind from entering, and he felt weakness. Rav Shmuel Damar Tavai, they both said, Haiman the Ovid Milsa, one who did the Hakazas Adam, Lita Midi, he should first eat something and then go out into the street, because otherwise, if he encounters a dead person, Yarka Ape, his face will turn green. If he encounters a person who killed somebody, he himself will die. If he meets a chazir, a swine, he's liable to experience davar acher, which means tzara, some sort of skin disease, which is prevalent amongst the swine. Rav Shmuel Damar Tavayu, they both said, Haiman David Milsa, a person who has the bloodletting done to him, Lishi Purta, he should first wait a bit, Vadalekum, and then get up. He shouldn't get up immediately. The Amar Mar, because we learned, hey Dvarm, there are 5 practices which we discourage a person from doing. There are 5 things which are Kraven Lamisa, which bring a person closer to death than life. Kraven Lamisa, Yoshev Nachayim Veluhin, these are the 5 things. Ochal v'amad, a person gets up immediately after eating a full meal. Shasa v'amad, he gets up immediately after drinking. Yashain v'amad, he gets up immediately after waking up. Hikizdam v'amad, or immediately after doing the bloodletting. Shemesh mitasai v'amad, or he gets up immediately after doing tashmish hamit. Amar Shmuel, how often should a person engage in bloodletting? Pursa the dama, what is the proper period, time for doing the akazas hadam kotlos and yoimin? Once every 30 days. So every 30 days, he should go ahead and do the akazas hadam. Ubeina prokim yimait, in between the stages of his life, he should minimize. Rashi explains this to mean after he gets to 40 years old. So it seems that these stages here are 20, 40, and 60. So once he gets to the second, between the second and third stage of his life, he should go ahead and minimize the hakazas hadam. Rashi means instead of doing it every 30 days, do it once every 60 days, once every 2 months. Ubeina prakim. Now, once he gets to the next beina prakim, which Rashi says means after 60 years old, yachsevi marit, he should minimize even more and do it only once every 3 months. Of Amar Shmuel, pursa the dama, the proper time, the proper day of the week to engage in bloodletting is chad b'shabbat, either Sunday, arba, or Wednesday, u'mala Shabbat, or Friday. Aval sheidim v'chamishi, but not Monday and Thursday. Why? Because that's a dangerous time. The Amar Mar, we learned, one who's confident about the schus aves that he has, the merit of his ancestors, and he's confident that he will be protected from harm, he should go ahead and tempt and do the hakazas hadam on Monday and Thursday. Mishi yeshle schus aves yakiz dam. He should do the hakazas hadam b'sheinim v'chamishi. Why? Why are those days considered to be precarious times? Shebezin shalmala, because the heavenly court, vishalmata, together with the lower court down here in this world, the shavin ke'echad, they conduct their sessions at this point at the same time. Meaning, on Mondays and Thursdays, that's the time of the bezdin. They conduct their sessions, as Rashi says that since it's a time when the bezdin goes ahead and judges the creatures and the people of this world, perhaps his averus will be brought to the forefront, brought on the table, and therefore a person should not place himself in unnecessary danger during those days. Continues the Gemara. So that explains why not Monday and Thursday. What about Tuesday? Why not on Tuesday? Madim bizavi, because that as well is considered to be a precarious time, a dangerous moment. Why? Because the Madim, which is one of the Mazoles, the celestial beings, which we know rotate, and Hashem granted some form of authority. They have a power to govern the events taking place down here. Hashem channels the energy, the power through the mazoles. So there are these mazoles which rotate, and 7 mazoles actually, and each one has a different hour which he influences the events in this earth in this world. Now madim, redness, which is generally related to Saturn. So madim is in charge of, actually says cherev, war, tragedy, all the negative things. So when the madim, the time of the governance of madim, falls out, encounters an even hour. So actually Rashi explains with the whole calculation here that on Tuesday, it turns out that the mazel of madim governs during hour number 8. So 8 is an even number. Now Rashi explains that things which are zugais, which are pairs, even numbers, are dangerous, because the shadim, demons, the koichas hara in the world have power when it comes to the concept of zugais, of pairs, because a pair denotes equality. There's a zelu mazed, there's opposing force. We know that Hashem created this world with opposing forces. Toiv, the power of good, and Ra, the power of evil. So the concept of a pair, the concept of a parallel, leaves room, opens up, gives the power of Ra, the opportunity, the availability to influence and bring about negative events in this world. So when these two things go hand in hand, the mazel of madim, which governs over tragedies, it falls out, and he governs during the time of an even hour, the time of, actually says the 8th hour, which is a zug, which is a pair and an even number. So therefore it's a time of danger, and a person should not engage in bloodletting and allow himself to be put into a precarious situation due to the precarious moment. So that the third day of the week, Tuesday, features this concept of madim encountering the even-numbered hours, and therefore one is not meant to put himself in danger. Says him, well, what about Friday? Mali Shabbat Nami. On Erev Shabbos as well. Kaima Bezavi. The mazel of Adam governs during an even hour. Rashi explains it's the 6th hour. So there as well, there should be a concern. Says the Gemara, on Friday there's no concern. Why? Given the Dosha Bei Rabbim. Since many have trampled upon this path, meaning it's a practice which was adopted by the masses. Why is that? Rashi says they would prefer doing the bloodletting on Erev Shabbos, because as we said earlier, one's meant to engage in a feast, a Suda after the bloodletting to strengthen himself, and this was a very convenient time to do it Erev Shabbos, which will allow himself to go into Shabbos and partake in Suda Shabbos, which will strengthen them, which will give them the energy depleted as a result of the bloodletting. So this was a common practice to do it on Erev Shabbos, and therefore, keeping the Dosha Bei Rabbim, Shomer P'soim Hashem. Hashem guards the P'soim, the heedless, the simple-minded fellows who follow a certain practice, and not to worry about doing the bloodletting on Friday. Continues the Gemara, Amar Shmuel. Dalid du Dalid. Shmuel will give us another couple of limitations when it comes to bloodletting, on which days to refrain from Hakazat Adam. Dalid, if it's a Wednesday, Duhu Dalid, which is number 4. Rashi says it's the 4th day of the month. So that's not a good day for Hakazah. Dalid Duhar Beisar. Likewise, Wednesday, which is the 14th day of the month, that's not a preferred day. Dalid on a Wednesday, Duhu Esrim V'Arba, which falls out on the 24th day of the month, or Dalid Deleka Abar Basrei, a Wednesday which does not have 4 days remaining until the end of the month after that day. So all those days are not preferred days. Sakanta, it's dangerous to do the Hakadas Adam during those days. Rosh Chodesh V'Sheni Loi, on the 1st day of the month and the 2nd day of the month. Chulsha, it can cause a person weakness. Shlishi Loi, on the 3rd day, Sakana, it's actually a sakana to do the Hakaz. Mali Yom HaTova, on Erev Yom Tov, Chulsha, it can cause weakness. Mali Yom HaTzarta, on Erev, the day of Shavuos, Sakanta, it is dangerous. Says the Gemara, because Rabbanon made a Gzeira, they did not allow a person to engage in Hakazas Adam, Akulu Mali Yom HaTova, on all the days of Erev Yom Tov. Why? Mishum Yom Tov Datzeres, on account of the Erev Yom Tov of Shavuos, which is a very dangerous day. So therefore, they advise us to refrain from Hakadas Adam on all Erev Yom Tov, lest it be confused with the Erev Shavuos. Because on Erev Shavuos, it's especially dangerous. The Nafak Bei Zika, there's a wind, a Zika, which emerges on that day, and the name of that wind is called Tevayach or Tavuach. So one second. So that wind which emerges on Erev Shavuos poses danger to a person who lets his blood. So that explains why one is meant to refrain from doing a cause on that day. Proceeds the Gemara. So there's this Zika, there's this wind which emerges on the day of Erev Shavuos. The Eloi Kibli Yisrael Torah. If the Yisrael would not have accepted the Torah, this wind would have somehow brought about that their basar and their dam would have been slaughtered, and they would have suffered as a result. Interesting that Mashah points out that the proper way to read this word Tvayach is actually Tavuach, because we're referring to the power of this Satan who emerges on that day, and the Satan wants to slaughter Klal Yisrael, wants to destroy Klal Yisrael. But conversely, we have the same power. We have the power to slaughter the Satan. By accepting the Torah, we have that power of the Kedusha of the Torah to go ahead and conquer, overcome, and slaughter the Satan. Hence, the proper name of this wind is Tavuach, slaughtered, because he's being slaughtered by us. Continues the Gemara, Amar Shmuel, Ochal Chita, V'ikaz Dam, one who eats wheat, and then he is Meikiz his dam, he lets his blood. It's not really so beneficial. He has not accomplished much. The only thing he did was he benefited the chita that he ate. Rashi explains that doing the bloodletting right after a meal is not so beneficial. It doesn't really have the proper therapeutic effect on the person. The only thing it does is it lightens the person's load. The person's is weighed down by his meal, so the akaza will remove that kovet, that weighing down, so we'll have some sort of minimal beneficial effect, but it's not the true hakazas adam, which is meant to affect refuah on the person. So once again, achal chita veikis dam, lo yehekiz el oisa chita, he only benefits, he undoes the effect of that meal, but it's not a refuah, as generally the hakaza is meant to do. Vahanami l'refuah. This is only said regarding refuah, meaning it doesn't have the refuah effect. Aval akuli, to lighten the load, mekil, indeed, it has the effect of lightening the load, meaning Rashi explains that sometimes a person is suffering from overabundance of blood, which weighs him down. So if he's doing the akaza for that purpose, then even the akaza after a meal will have that beneficial effect. Continues the Gemara, Hamekiz dam. One does hakazas adam, shtil alter. He can go ahead and shtia right away. Achila, but regarding eating ad chatzi mil, until the point of a half a mil, and the Gemara will explain. Iboilu, they ask the question, what exactly does he mean? Shtil alter ma'ali. When he said drinking immediately after the hakazah, does he mean that's beneficial? It's preferred, it's recommended to drink right after the hakazah. Aval basa hachi kashi. But if he waits around too long, he doesn't do it immediately, it can actually be detrimental to him. Or perhaps, like mali, it's neither nor detrimental, nor mali, nor is it beneficial. Meaning, we know that drinking right away is good, but otherwise, is it detrimental, or is it just parv? It's just not detrimental nor beneficial. Teiku, we leave it unresolved. Iboyu, they ask likewise regarding the point of achilat chatzi mil. What does that mean? So he waits until the point that it takes to walk a half a mil. Achila ad chatzi mil. Hu dekam mali. Then, if he waits that time period and then he eats, dekam mali, it is beneficial to him to do that. Ha basarachi. But if he delays more than that time and he eats only after that, or prior to that point of time, kashi is detrimental to him, or perhaps like kashvila mali, it's nor kasha nor mali, meaning it's nor detrimental nor beneficial. Teiku, we leave it unresolved. So it does seem that it is preferred for a person to drink immediately after the akaza and to have his meal at the point of chatzi mil, the point that it takes to walk a half a mil. after his akaza, but we're unsure regarding the other times whether he means to say that one is meant to keep away because it's detrimental, or does he mean to say it doesn't have the same beneficial effect as doing it in the proper time? Take it, we leave it unresolved. Machriz of Rav. So Rav announced, Meya Kari Bezuzah. If a person finds curry, these pumpkins, which are selling at very cheap, 100 of them are being sold for a zuz, buy it. Meya Reishi, if he finds 100 heads of an animal being sold cheaply, 100 for a zuz, Meya Reishi Bezuzah, likewise you should buy it. But don't buy it if it's not selling for cheap, because they have a very minimal nutritional value. Meya Sefami, if you find 100 lips of an animal being sold, v'loy klum, don't buy it. Don't bother buying it even if it's very cheap, because it's absolutely not beneficial to a person. Omer Rav Yosef, ki avinen b'Rav Huna, when I was by the Beis Medrash of Rav Huna, yoyim de mefagir b'Rabbanon. It was a day that the Rabbanon were being a bit lazy. Amri, so they said, I heard them saying, Ha'idna now is a yoyima de sfamihu. It's a day of sfami. I wasn't sure, I didn't understand exactly why they used this term of yoyima de sfami to describe a lazy day. But now, says Rav Yosef, once I heard the announcement of Rav that one is not meant to bother buying the sfami, the lips of an animal, because they're not too valuable. They have absolutely no value to a person. They have no nutritional value. So I see that the point of sfami means something which is valueless, useless. Likewise, they use that term to describe the lazy day, meaning a day which is useless, which accomplishes nothing. Continues the Gemara, v'koishin ataber, getting back to the Mishnah, describing the various malachos they do for the woman who gave birth, and for the sake of the child, the newborn. And Rav Yossi said that not only do they tie the umbilical cord, they actually cut it as well. It's also a necessity for the safeguarding of the child. They tie the umbilical cord. They even go ahead and they cut it, because that is also a necessity. Continues the Brayso. So what else do they do? They bury the shilya, the placenta. Soon the Gemara is going to tell us exactly how they do it. They cover it up to keep it warm, and that somehow affects the temperature of the child as well. Kadei sheyicham avlat, so that the newborn should warm up. This seems to be derech skula, some sort of a supernatural procedure. So go ahead and they cover the shilya to affect warmth on the child. Amar Rab Shimon Gamliel, there are various methods for this. Bnois malachim, daughters of kings, princesses, toinois b'sfal mishal shemen. They go ahead and they immerse the placenta in a bowls of oil. Bnois ashirim, daughters of wealthy families, b'sfal mishal tsemer. They cover their placenta with fibers of pieces of combed wool. Bnois aniyim, daughters of poor families, b'muchan, they use rags. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravu, Amar Rav Halach Rabbi Yossi. The halacha follows Rabbi Yossi that on Shabbos we go ahead and we actually cut the umbilical cord to preserve the health of the child. Of Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravu, Amar Rav. Moedim Chacham Rabbi Yossi. The Chacham who said that only actually tie it and not cut it, they agree to Rabbi Yossi in the following case: V'tabro shel shnei tinoikos. It's regard to twins. So you have the umbilical cords which is tied to two twins. Shechoitchin, we go ahead and cut it on Shabbos. Why? Because my time of the manatchi adadi, because they pull apart from each other, and thereby they endanger their lives. Therefore, we go ahead and we cut it to separate them. And we can do that even on Shabbos. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Ravu, Amar Rav. Kala Amar Parshas Teichacha. Anything described, all the methods and procedures described in the Parsha of Teichacha, Rashi explains this was Yecheskel, who was highlighting to Klal Yisrael all the goodness and the chesed, the care that Hashem performed on their behalf. So the pasuk equates Klal Yisrael to a newborn child, and the care and the all different things which are done to take care of this new child. So everything described in that parsha, oisin l'chaya b'Shabbos, we do for the sake of the schai, the woman who gave birth, and likewise for the sake of a child, we do it on Shabbos. Now this explains, although these things, these procedures generally are not things which are actually saving one's life. It's not needed for sakana. It's nevertheless a point of relieving tsar, and therefore it's allowed to relieve pain and discomfort because Taisa says they don't involve an issa d'oraisa. Shenemar, as it says in the following pasuk, u'moledetayich b'yoyim huledes oisach, the day of your birth, loy charas sharich. Sharich, referring to the umbilical cord, was not cut. Ubamayim loy ruchatz l'mishi, and you weren't rinsed with water to smooth you out. V'hamleich loy humlacht, and you weren't salted. V'huchtel loy chutalt, and you were not wrapped around to keep your limbs in place. The Gemara will explain. From here we learn we go ahead and we deliver the newborn child on Shabbos. Loy charas sharech. This is referring to cutting the umbilical cord. So the pasuk is basically saying you were born in a helpless situation. You needed all these things to be done for you, and Hashem took care of you. Loy charas sharech. We learn from here mekan shechoitchen atav b'Shabbos. So your umbilical cord was not cut. We learn from here that one is meant to cut the umbilical cord on Shabbos. Ubamayim loy ruchatz. You were not washed with, rinsed, bathed with water, lemishi, for smoothing of your skin. Mekan, we learn from here. Sheroichsen of Shabbos. We rinse the child on Shabbos. V'homleich lo yuhum lachat. We learn from here. Mekan shemochen of Shabbos. We go ahead and we salt the child on Shabbos. Rashi explains this is done to toughen the baby's skin, flesh. V'hochtel lo yuchtalt. We learn from here, mekan shemalafifin avlad b'Shabbos. We go ahead and we rewrap the newborn, Rashi says, with chaguros, psikiyos, belts, and all types of belts. That we go ahead and we wrap him, because when he's born, his limbs and his joints are out of place. We go ahead and we wrap him to keep everything in place. So indeed, these things, all these different care, practices of care and tzorich of the child are meant to be done on Shabbos. This explains, even though it seems that we're not speaking about things which involve pikuach nefesh, not sure if he means all of them, or at least some of them do not involve pikuach nefesh. Nevertheless, we do it on Shabbos to relieve tsar, since we're only involving an issa d'rabbanan. Hadar alach mefanim. Okay, time for a brief review of today's daf. We began with the malachis, which may be done for a woman who gave birth a chaya. The Gemara delineated for us 3 different stages of her recovery. Up until 3 days, she's considered to be pesach pasuach, the kever pasuach. Her womb is considered to be open, and she is in a precarious state. A chayla sheyesh basakana, we have machal Shabbos on our behalf. From 3 until 7 days, she's considered to be presumed to be out of danger. We're not machal Shabbos on our behalf. And up until 30 days, certainly, she's considered to be out of danger. We're not machal Shabbos, but as the Gemara told us, even if she's not a yesh b'sakana, she's nevertheless considered to be a chayla, and therefore we do those malachos through a non-Jew. Now we have a machlekes between Rav Ashi and Mazutra, whether we follow a lenient or stringent approach regarding the chaya. We have 2 factors. We have the time factor. Up until 3 days, she's considered to be in a state of sakana. So the time factor here dictates chilul Shabbos. What if she specifically says, I don't need this to be done for me? According to Rav Ashi, we follow that opinion. According to Mazut, we ignore that, because we follow the time factor, and that overrides her personal expression. Conversely, when we're dealing with a time frame of between 3 and 7 days, where she's presumed to be out of danger, we're not machal Shabbos. What if she specifically says, I need this to be done on my behalf? According to Rav Ashi, we ignore that, because the time factor overrides that. We follow the time factor, and we ignore her expression. According to Mazutra, in this case, we will follow her personal opinion. The personal factor in this case takes precedence. And even though the presumption is that she doesn't need this to be done, but if she says, I need this, we'll machal Shabbos on her behalf. The Gemara proceeded with various details and instructions and recommendations and pieces of advice when it comes to hakazas hadam. We discussed the need for warmth, the need to have a meal, and the different times which are inappropriate for hakazas hadam. And the Gemara concluded with regard to cutting the umbilical cord, According to the Chacham, generally we don't do it on Shabbos. According to our basic, we do, and the Chacham agree. When they are twins, there is a need to cut it lest they pull apart from one another and put themselves in sakana. The Gemara concluded that there are various forms of care which are done to the child as is listed in that pasuk in Yecheskel, which are considered to be a miniyah of tsar, relieving of discomfort for the child, and therefore we do it even on Shabbos.